Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Movie Talk. And today, I wanted to talk about some of the breaking news that I heard earlier about the new plans for the MCU. If you haven't heard, the MCU is kind of planning on doing a soft reset after Avengers: Secret War in 2027, and I just kind of want to give my thoughts on that overall. As a big Marvel fan, specifically, obviously, you see the Spider-Man shirt. Kind of just going over some of the concepts that the Kevin Feige talked about. I'll start with Spider-Man since I'm wearing a shirt. Obviously, talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day, and talking about how the Punisher obviously being involved is something we knew, as it was announced a couple weeks ago in the big trades. But also that the story will be a ground level story, which I know a lot of Spider-Man fans like myself were kind of hoping for. And just for the fact of the matter is, obviously, uh, I am a huge fan of No Way Home, but also just it felt like for Tom Holland specifically, we were missing that bigger, or excuse me, that's more smaller scaled Spider-Man story. And especially in the MCU, I felt like there was so much potential for just a ground level Spider-Man movie, and I'm very happy to hear that that's going to be the case, and that makes me even more excited for Brand New Day. But then also talking about after Avengers Secret Wars, obviously we know Avengers Doomsday is what they're currently filming. But it's just after Avengers Secret Wars that they plan on kind of doing a soft reset of the MCU. And this is something I'm very happy about. Obviously, a few weeks ago, if you saw my review of Superman, I very much enjoyed that film. And I know that's DC, but it kind of showed a new excitement and a new iteration of DC. And while obviously the MCU has been going on great for a minute now, realistically, post 2020 and since Phase 4, besides a few projects, I mean, especially in 2022, I feel like the MCU took a dip in quality because a lot of obviously what Bob Chapek did when he took over was kind of go more the quantity over quality route. And I think that kind of very much damaged the name brand of the MCU to where obviously there's a lot of movies that still do great, and obviously they're, Deadpool and Wolverine last year made over 200 million open weekend, and then it made well over $1 billion. But you look at some of the smaller projects, like obviously like the Marvels that really flopped badly. Thunderbolts, a movie that I thought was really great, unfortunately really didn't perform that well, and obviously Captain America: Brave New World didn't do that well. So they've kind of had some hit and misses. Obviously, it all started back when Quantumania that flopped kind of well, and leading into Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which I thought was amazing. A movie like that, I felt like in the past of the MCU would have made $1 billion, but because of where Marvel is at currently, it only, it still made good enough, over $100 million. But it feels like since the MCU has not been as consistent as it used to be, it's kind of been suffering. So I'm happy to hear of this reset, just to kind of clear some of the storylines that maybe were not as popular, because they have a lot of post-credit scenes that they have not answered yet. But just overall, getting into some more of the things they covered was the possibility that they would possibly recast Steve Rogers and Tony Stark. I'm a little hesitant, obviously, with that, but I think that could be exciting. Like, obviously, when you think about like Spider-Man, bring it up there, or Batman, or Superman, a lot of the other characters, or even the Fantastic Four, which we're about to see their new movie next week. It's how many times have they redone these characters, and obviously a lot of them sometimes it doesn't turn out great, but there's been other times where it has turned out great. So at the end of the day, it's hard, especially with these two characters, just because they obviously only had really one main iteration for the on the big screen, and they were so iconic and connected to the MCU. But I think at the end of the day, after Secret Wars, they obviously want to focus also more on the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, since they weren't able to focus on them, because Fox had the rights back when they started the MCU. But kind of going overall, all the things they said, obviously some exciting news about Spider-Man Brand New Day, confirming that after Secret Wars, they are planning on retooling, as Kevin Feige said, the MCU, not going, I guess it isn't like the word reboot, but kind of tweaking some stuff and cutting out some storylines that didn't work that well, and making more of a focus on the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, and possibly rebooting some characters like Iron Man and Captain America, and probably Black Panther as well. But maybe, there's been rumors about Thor, Chris Hemsworth still, reprising the role. Maybe Mark Ruffalo they could, possibly recast or keep him as well. But there's a lot of interesting things, and I think the future of Marvel is very interesting right now, with the fact that after Secret Wars, there could be a lot of changes and kind of a new way for the MCU to, a new way for the MCU in the future, which is crazy to think about, especially if you would have said like in 2019, 2018, being like, oh, the MCU is going to get rebooted in a few years. But I think after everything, post Endgame, while there's been a lot of good, I think it's kind of best to kind of try to, stage out and get rid of some stuff. Like maybe Eternals didn't really work that well, and some of the other shows on Marvel that didn't really work well with audiences, maybe kind of just get rid of them and focus on some of the stuff that did work, but also bring in some new stuff like X-Men, and also introducing the the Fantastic Four into the MCU world and not being in their own different world. But overall, those are my opinions on the big announcements Kevin Feige made today about the future of Marvel. As always, please leave your opinions in the comments below. Tell me what you think about, obviously, this video, but more importantly, what are you excited to see in the future of the MCU? Obviously, excited for Doomsday, Secret War, and, what are your thoughts on, obviously, possibly recasting Iron Man and Captain America, and are you excited about a possible reboot for the MCU? As always, I appreciate you watching the video, and see you in the next one.